So The Adventures in Consciousness is a 10-chapter journey exploring how consciousness shapes our thoughts, behavior, and the way we experience life. This series invites individuals and leaders to become more aware of their inner energy and to apply awareness to create healthier relationships, stronger communities, and a more peaceful world. We are on Chapter 5, which is the impact of positive attitudes. In this chapter, we explore the powerful impacts that attitudes have on our lives and relationships. By becoming aware of the attitudes we carry and learn how to shift them, we can change the quality of our experiences and the environments we help to create.
It takes 40 days to change negative to positive because you have to believe it, and it's the energy available. I'm Jack Heynen. I'm the creator of the 10-chapter course called Adventures in Consciousness.
Hi, my name is Ali Crawford. I am Jack Heynen's project lead on the Adventures in Consciousness series. Today we're going to be talking about the impacts of positive attitudes. And what comes to mind is that two people can be experiencing the same scenario but have a very different response. Can you tell us a little bit about how a positive or negative attitude would influence someone's response to a situation?
I'm often thinking of a situation when let's say a person is very negative about his work. While the weekend is coming up and they're going to have a wonderful time with the family, suddenly his mind says, after when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to go back into that same lousy job with the people that I can't stand. That would be quite an example of a negative attitude.
Right. And what do you think that influence has on his own experience and also the people in his family and people at work?
Big time. Absolutely big time. Since attitude is our personal choice, when a person has an understanding of that, and the impact that they can create both on a positive and negative, what a joy it would be to find out more about what is attitude, how can I change it?
Coming from chapter 4, about actually applying awareness and being self-aware enough, it comes into this next chapter where when you've started to become aware of yourself, you start to become aware of the attitudes that you're having, and then you start to become aware of the thoughts that make the attitude.
Well, the way that you're putting all of this together, attitudes, behavior, perceptions, it's all happening within us.
One of the quotes is that the quality of our attitude influences the quality of our life. Can you talk a little bit about the differences in attitudes that you might have experienced in your practice and how that has influenced people's lives, your own life, and your own experience?
After 9 years of agency practice, after finishing my 3 degrees, then I had to say, how do I get ready for any job that would be long-lasting? I have my lovely wife, I have 2 small children, I have to be a breadwinner, and being asked to do a private practice from the government, should I go up the agency line or should I open my own practice? That had a lot to do with my inner attitudes. Can I do this? How would I do this? How would I say no to a paycheck and have to start my own? That had a lot to do with my feeling about myself. And did I feel confident enough after a lot of homework to make up a decision?
And at that time, if you can go back to that period of your life where you decided to start your private practice, what was the attitude that you were holding and what might have shaped that attitude for you?
Because I was so involved with a wider perception of what is the world all about, what is the impact of my own faith as a Christian, how could I reach out, what kind of support would I be able to get from others. These were all inner jobs that I had to take care of.
Right.
But it is your decision. And that had a lot to do with how strong did I feel inside about the possibility of choosing that way.
So that's the timing then. In your life right now, your experience right now with leukemia, how does that influence you in this phase of your life?
The choice of the quality of your attitude is the direction of your total life.
How have you maintained your positive attitude? Every time I speak to you about how you're doing, what's going on in your life, it's always positive. How do you maintain those positive energies when maybe there are things that are testing you in real time and in real life?
Attitude is one component for me in that larger understanding of how I view the universe. So while it is an incredible, and we'll go into details between what's the difference between negative versus positive, it's only a part of a larger perception that I use myself in order to make use of my life in the best way.
And what are some of those practices that you use on a daily basis to maintain those attitudes?
I've done a lot of changing in my own theological thinking. And I'm eternally grateful to my family who brought me into the Christian faith. And it was natural to go to church. Family of 8 children, get your clothes on, away we go. So I became very trustful that there is a creator in the universe, is loving, is all inclusive. So that was from the beginning. Trust for me has always been a tremendous important ingredient. While I'm just one individual, I'm living among others that are also sharing that sense of trust that this universe is not a crapshoot. It is an organized organization, and love is the source of everything. So my perception has changed, has grown. So attitude fits within that. So it is up to me to wake up in the morning refreshed and finger pointing to myself to say, are you waking up with hope and faith and love, or are you allowing yesterday to bother you? So once I'm back in, no matter what I hit, leukemia or other things, is only part of my personalized experience. So I will impute the highest and best attitudes in order to help the quality of my health.
So you do feel that impact of your attitude on your health?
Totally. The scientists are now saying it is not just what the cell makeup is. The cells are listening to the attitude of the owner. So if I'm telling my cells, get along, guys, okay, do your job, work like a team, right? Which I believe more and more so, and science is to prove that, then I'm sending the right attitude to each cell. So attitude for me, personally, very important.
So we talked about how you started your private practice, trusting yourself and optimism and following what felt right for you led you into this path, and you ended up coming upon the Adventures in Attitudes course. Can you tell us a little bit about that course?
I do believe personally that once we get our attitude straight, things open up. In the beginning, when I started my private practice, of course, I'm open to any contracts. So an agency in the city of Calgary said, will you be our supervisor for a while? So while I'm there, I'm meeting a gentleman that I'm supervising. He says, Jack, do you know about a course called Adventures in Attitudes? And I said, how do you have an adventure in an attitude? Oh, let me show you. And he shows me the 3-ring binder called Adventures in Attitudes. Within 2 weeks, I phoned a reserve and I said, I have a course called Attitudes. Would you be interested if I showed you? And before I know it, they say, sign us up. We want to get started because we need to change our attitudes on the reserve. And as soon as I would teach it at one course, they said, you need to phone my sister in Saddle Lake. They need it worse than we do. And for 20 years, I had one course, Adventures in Attitude, which has not only helped me, but it helped thousands of other people.
In that course, it is the transition of going from fear, doubt, and hate into faith, hope, and love.
Totally.
And taking, the awareness of those attitudes of where you may be starting from and where you're going to go, and having that transition in 3 days. So can you tell us a little bit about what that looked like?
I had a lot of wonderful folks in my workshops that had to struggle from the residential school experience. When we in white society took away from our brothers and sisters their culture, then we took away their religion, their wisdom, and then we took along their dress. And so we stripped them down. And I came in to say, let's take a look at you. You are important. We need to be important to ourselves. We need to be important to our Creator. And now let's take a look at how we change the negative to positive.
So thinking about that shift from fear, doubt, and hate into faith, hope, and love, and thinking about the responsibility within oneself for that.
It was an affirmation, I'm never alone. So say your prayers, trust the universe cares, and look what happened. And then I began to open up the confidence of my private practice. That led to marriage counseling, opened my own office, and it was a matter of 2 weeks when this course came into being. Now, why would a course that I never knew about be in less than 2 weeks to be offered to me? Like, who is doing this? And I'm surprised about myself. How did I do that? Now, I had a lovely, supportive wife, and of course she was always believing in me. That helps. And so I think when a person stands back and say, that resourcefulness is within ourselves. We call it attitude. You can call it values, you can call it inspiration, but we're just talking attitude. How do you change fear, doubt, and hate into faith, hope, and love? It's your choice.
From fear, doubt, and hate into faith, hope, and love, what can you see happening in that shift?
I believe that 50% of society is based on fear. They fear more than they care and love. And we see that in the world situation. So to wake up in the morning with fear, to go to your work, or to live in your community, or to wonder if the secret police are going to take you out of the country. And so to cope with fear, personally, number one, I don't care what religion you are, that's up to each person. But the attitude is something that everyone, if I can learn what fear does to me, and doubt and hate as an energy, which I now understand comes more from the consciousness of the universe. So if I can change that to faith, hope, and love, I have a tremendous treasure within me.
In practical sense, somebody who is currently dealing with fear, doubt, and hate, that's their current life experience. They look around them, the situation in their surroundings, their situation in their communities, situation in their country. That transition, it just goes, oh, we change from here to here. What is that first step they can actually take to make that shift, especially when their external situations are feeling hopeless?
Well, I would say that now you're going to examine what is the basis of fear, doubt, and hate, and under each of them are the behaviors. If I am fearful, I will not cooperate with people. I will not want to make contributions because it's all me and my life. And doubt is that I doubt if I can make any difference in the world. So I doubt if anybody likes who I am at work anyway. And hate, oh, I can't stand the world around me. So I have just told myself inside, I doubt it, I hate it, whatever. So you guys get along now because I don't really like who I am and the world I'm living, okay? So do you think that your body and system is going to experience that? Yes. That's why I believe there's a lot of illnesses and sickness that could be changed.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, I'm taking a 3-day course, and I've learned that if I change fear, doubt, and hate into faith, hope, and love, suddenly they say, that's a better way of using energy. I am going to change from the fear, doubt, and hate. And Monday comes up, and he says, you know what? I am going to enter tomorrow morning with faith, hope, and love. So as I walk through the door, I'm going to say, oh, hello, everybody. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. And they're going to look at me and saying, I'm beginning to look and say, what's the matter with him? You better smell his breath, whatever, right? Maybe he's taken whatever. No, he's taken the course. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Suddenly he's changed himself.
Right.
And that's the energy that the universe is made of. It is forever. It's existing. And you and I are a part of it. It's only one little part we're changing, attitude. Right. It's the energy that changes from negative to positive.
If they want to take action right now, what is an application step that they can start to shift those feelings, those thoughts in their mind that pull from fear, doubt, and hate to faith, hope, and love?
First of all, I think we need to reorient yourself, become aware. Everything that you and I have ever done in our life is in my self-awareness. And I am amazed at times that I'm driving around and suddenly an idea pops into my mind about something that's happened to me before. And why is this happening? It's because my self-awareness is filled with zillions of memories. So pay attention to yourself. And if you are realizing there's a message coming from my inner side, that's why I recommend write things down. Talk to people about it. Go see a therapist. Go to church. Go to your temple. Ask God. So in other words, be open. Be open to yourself always.
Yeah.
Because you are a living and breathing entity. And that entity wants to have the highest levels of energy.
When you start to have an idea, listen to it, write it down.
Yeah.
Because I think that once we become self-aware, we might be pulled in a certain direction. We might have an idea of something that we want to do, and we can often either distract ourselves, so not write it down and then forget about it, or actively try and distract ourselves from something that we feel drawn towards. Or we just place a lot of logic of why we can't based on our present situation without having the faith, piece of that being possible, or that being possible for us, or that being possible for our society. There's limiting beliefs that might come up. So I love your idea about listening to the thoughts that come to your mind and sit in them a little bit, because we have more of the answers in ourselves than we know.
You couldn't have said it better when you say, first of all, listen to yourself. Because that voice, would you agree, is talking to us all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so you are a carrier of that voice.
Right.
Feast on healthy things. Good books. Got them right there. You see, my library is full of books, all on consciousness and relationships and the planet. So feast on that. The body needs that. And of course, since we are physical, emotional, social, intellectual, and spiritual, feast on those 4 parts regularly. So when you do that, you're going to get curious. You say, oh my God, like a kid. I remember a good friend of mine whose grandchild, and they're celebrating Christmas. And so, of course, that young child has a lot of presents, right? But the next present that she opens up is a book. And that book is the most important thing. So she says, Grandma, please read the book to me. All the other presents are left behind. Why? Because that child is curious and wants to know and lives into the child's imagination. So put that to an adult. We are curious. Please don't be negative about life. Life is everly expanding. So that we have to keep up with later ideas about your perceptions and belief system. Let them expand. But now we're talking about attitudes. So change negative to positive. You got to do homework. It takes 40 days to change negative to positive because you have to believe it. And it's the energy available. So if you want to have a better life, stop belly aching and complaining and start working on it.
And working on it in terms of self-awareness, in terms of consumption of positive things, surrounding yourself with good people, taking action on the things that you said you were going to do for yourself.
Totally. And confront negative people. How many people hate spending time because you're listening to hours of belly aching? And instead of saying, excuse me, but I'm aware that you're coming to me with all this upset pain. I'm tired of listening to it. And it is your responsibility to change it, not mine. So the next time we talk about something positive. They're either going to end that relationship or they're going to say, that person is right.
Right.
I should be changing. Because in a friendship, I want to build.
Right.
I don't want to drag down.
Yes, that's helpful, I think, to people, because people might not even know that they are that person.
No.
If we have valuable friendships in our life and healthy relationships in our lives, we keep each other accountable. And we want them to not have a negative experience in their own life. So can you talk a little bit about the responsibility in our families, in our workplaces, in our communities of being in control of our own attitudes?
The word that we're using, and that has a new meaning now, the word responsibility. Well, the negative aspect is, well, it is your responsibility to do this. That sounds kind of judgmental, right? But now you break it in half and you say, it is your ability to do something. You have that ability in you now. See, I grew up in a family where there was quite a difference between my mother and my father. My father, essentially, of a different personality than my mother, was a fear-based person. And so it was evident in the way the jobs that he got and the way to take care of 8 children. My mother was a positive person. And so she had to pinch hit a lot about family finances, etc. And while she had a thrombosis on her leg, pain on her ankle, for 39 years. So each of us are experiencing a whole life journey. So my mother was able to always keep her fun-lovingness, whatever. I remember her jokes and her laughter. And so while she had pain, so she handled that in a different attitude.
First, the awareness of our own attitudes, but then it also has to be paired with action. So first, awareness of what our attitudes actually are right now, but then what we're actually doing about it. How we decide to be aware of what we did last time and what we're going to do next time, and then we actually take action to make that change. Are there any more specific applications you can give that they could apply today?
Well, the other piece, because we're only talking about pieces here.
Right.
We're talking about attitudinal pieces.
Right.
Those are energies.
Yeah.
So once a person has made up his or her mind about positive is better than negative. But then the other aspect is, of course, talk about values. So values in this course I've just taught, third year ethics class, they're dealing with values. So if values are the quality energies, myself and each other on the planet and the universe, then I have to dump those attitudes into the value mix. So when I have respect and honesty, integrity, participation, that's a whole other area.
Right.
So all of these are components of the jigsaw puzzle.
What is the benefit for them and their surroundings to change to faith, hope, and love?
Well, put it this way, I love a particular 8-chapter component of Erik Erikson, a social psychologist, and I often use him in my workshops, and say that if you are in your final stage 8 of your life, and you're now moved from 65 and up, and I'm an 85, 86-year youngster, I say to myself, let us say that I have done all my work, and I get retired and everything else. And so am I living the life of Riley? Am I enjoying who I am? Do I feel satisfied with everything that I've accomplished? That would be wonderful. So at that time, maybe you'll start writing books. Maybe you'll make movies. Maybe you'll do something else. Or like my very good friend who is moved from our building into the God knows in his own cabin. He's having the time of his life. Based what? On values and the way that he sees himself. And here I'm at 85 still undertaking a whole series of 10 chapters. I'm living my life based on attitudes and values. On the other hand, if I was negative and I said, life has been the pits, I feel disjointed, what a life to finish up. So I'm saying, my friend, the choice is yours and mine. Universe is doing quite well, right? It's made of a creator that's keeping everything going. So get with the program. Start becoming more spiritual. Go around the medicine wheel. These are the things that we do here. I feel my life is evolving, and I want to be around the people and create the things that are exercising that. So what could be better?
Yeah, so that promise then to people is moving from fear, doubt, and hate into faith, hope, and love, is improving that sense of self.
Yeah.
That sense that you've done what you wanted with your life.
Yeah.
Coming into those final stages, you're not, I should have done this, or I never got the chance to do this, and you leave resentful or angry or doubtful, these heavy feelings to feel at the end of your life. You know, you're still here for a reason.
Totally.
It's not too late. You can achieve what you want to achieve.
I want to mention too, as I'm listening to you, is that when you really examine the 6 characteristics, faith, hope, and love, fear, and hate, on every one of them, let's say that hate, it's all divided into all kinds of negative expressions. It's not just hate.
Right.
Hate brings this. So the more you study that, the more you realize that's what's happening in my life. So that is how the attitude ladder works.
Right.
So study the ladder. Also, I would highly recommend the other thing, and that is Hawkins' chart of consciousness. So when you go to internet and you get the nice big one, Hawkins, you're moving from 0 energy to 1,000. And so when you study that, you and I are in charge of changing the sense of attitudes and values and perspective. But that takes homework. Everyone's life is made of that. You want to climb higher? It's for your taking. Responsibility. If you hyphenate it again,
Yeah.
it is your responsibilities
Right.
that are changing.
Yeah.
And you get to experience it. I cannot say enough about the fact that I more and more learn about the great creator of everything. And that's not easy in churches because every church wants to define it in their own way. It doesn't fit for me anymore. All of that attitude and values and perceptions for me is within that larger understanding of the creator of all. And I'm eternally thankful for my family.
How would you summarize this chapter?
Thoughts and beliefs are things, including attitudes. So whatever you take on inside of you, your self-awareness, trust that you are using that in the greater things of how the universe works. Your life is going to start pumping.
This has been chapter 5 of the Adventures in Consciousness series. We would love to hear how your attitudes are currently shaping your life and what you're going to do about it next. Thank you for watching, and we would love to hear from you in the comments. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next chapter.